Hello and welcome to the Daily Forex Report for June 18th. We are looking at the US-Japanese yen pair. This pair gapped a little bit at the open, hasn't quite filled that gap, closed up, did create an inside bar. We are looking for this pair to potentially go as high as 79.64, there we go, 64, possibly down to 78.44. Look for some resistance to the upside around 79.35. And look for some support around 78.60. Now the Euro USD pair, this pair closed down. Look for it to potentially go as high as 127.97, possibly as low as 124.27. Look for some resistance around 127.50 and look for some support around 125.39. Now the pound US dollar pair closed lower during today's session. Look for this pair to potentially go up and hit some resistance around 157.37, possibly moving down and hitting support around 15600. Now the US Swiss, this pair gapped at the open, filled that gap. Look for it to potentially go as high as 0.9656. Possibly as low as 0.9382. Look for some resistance around 0.9575 and look for some support around 0.9415. Now, as far as news analysis go, going into this next session at 4:30 a.m. Eastern, we have the consumer price index for the pound being released for May. Consensus on that one is that it's going to hold at 3.0%. Then at 5 a.m. Eastern, we have the German ZEW survey, economic sentiment, being released for June. The forecast on that one is definitely lower than previous. Previous was 10.8, and they're showing a forecast of 2.5, which would be, of course, negative news for the euro if that comes out at 2.5 or lower. Then a little bit later in the day, around 7:50 p.m., we have the Bank of Japan publishing their minutes for their May 22nd and 23rd board meeting. Of course, the numbers have already been released, so most likely we will not see anything happen there as far as the markets are concerned. Now, what am I looking for during this next session? The U.S.-Japanese yen pair did create an inside bar. It did also not fill the gap. So I'm going to drop down to the 15-minute time frame, zoom out a little bit so I can get a good idea. You can see it started to, but didn't quite get there. If we draw our trend line here, we can see that we have somewhat of a trend line there developing. Let's see if it broke it. No, it all pretty much tagged some of the closes there, and the lows kind of broke through it. But nonetheless, looking for it to break on down through here and come down to this point. So currently that would be roughly about a 27 pip exit on to the downside. To the upside, using a stop loss of about 20 would get us above previous areas of resistance right around this point. So looking to short right around the 78.93 mark, which is good because we'd be past the 0.0 level of 79.00. Have a stop loss around the 79.13, and then I'm looking for a potential exit which would fill the gap at around 78.65. This is definitely a high probability trade. Risk to reward is good. It's over a 1-to-1 by a little bit, and we know that that the majority of the time, almost 90%, this gap gets filled. So using price action and trend lines to get there is definitely the way to go. So that's what I'm looking at for this next session. Well, I hope that helps, and until next time, this is Jason Fielder. Good trading.